button. AJ, I'm gonna push the button. AJ,
push the damn button, Brad.
AJ, I'm gonna go live. I'm gonna push the big blue button that says go live. I'm gonna push it right. Hey, what's up, AJ?
What's up, Brian? Kept you waiting, huh?
What's up?
I didn't tell anybody that you were playing Koi, and I couldn't get you off of the game.
Oh, but Koi
so I got you covered there
in the game.
So don't worry, you're good. Happy Turkey Week, everybody! Woo!
Oh man, I can feel the tryptophan setting in already. Anybody want to snuggle? Let's do this.
You gonna cook a turkey in that brand new kitchen of yours?
I mean, you've seen a picture of the brand new kitchen, and since you've seen a picture, you know that a turkey would not fit in that oven.
I think it would.
I mean,
maybe a small turkey.
I could get sliced turkey from the deli and cook it in there. I think that's
maybe
the
you can
extent
get a quail.
Yeah,
a small quail.
I'll get you a quail.
No, but real talk.
Yeah,
lightning struck my oven, and my oven is not working, so I have to find someplace else to get turkey.
Oh,
I wonder if I can DoorDash a turkey. Or
you also need a new oven.
Yeah. Oh. Why don't you tell those guys to come back and come to my house?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a distance, but I'm sure they'll make the trip. AJ, we kept these guys waiting long enough. Don't you think we should start the show?
Gobble, 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 gobble!
Oh my God, you're acting like it's already Thanksgiving.
It is, in spirit.
It's not Thanksgiving. Let's go. You know, I feel like such a bad host, AJ, because the chat has made me realize I missed a perfect opportunity to go, lightning crashes and a new mother cries.
The placenta falls to the floor.
That's the one. This is PSVR GamesCast Live. We film live every single Monday, Wednesday, and 2 Eyes Friday right here on YouTube. We do it live 6 p.m. Eastern for your viewing pleasure. But don't forget, we also care about your oral pleasure. So make sure you go check us out on podcast services of your choice. Oral pleasure, AJ. Isn't it your favorite kind of pleasure?
Yeah, we will make sure they are orally pleased.
Orally satisfied, I think is the phrase. Man, oh man. My name is Brian Powell from this channel right here, PSVR without Parole. And this gentleman over here to my left, your right, is AJ from the Underground. PSVR Underground.
What is up, Brian? What is up, Game Cats? Like I said before, man, happy Turkey Week. Let's go. This is, it's not Thanksgiving today, but this is the GamesCast before Thanksgiving for me, Brian. So this is my Thanksgiving, spending with all these lovely people that I'm super thankful for.
Literally my least favorite holiday. I can't stand Thanksgiving.
Turkey. What? Food. Don't you like food?
I love food. You know what I like more than food? Is eating food without the extended family around. Listen, AJ, not to talk shit about people who aren't watching right now, but my extended family kind of ruins everything. Like, mom.
That's what extended family's for, Brian.
Yeah.
That's why they exist.
Immediate family's great. Extended family, yeah, they just kind of ruin everything. So
it's a Thanksgiving adjacent episode. Thank you, Danishing Act.
I'm glad you guys are excited for it. I mean, just because I don't love Thanksgiving doesn't mean you guys can't love Thanksgiving. You do whatever you want, man. Do whatever you want. It's the furthest thing from my mind, though. Furthest thing, because I just don't care. I'm counting down the days till Halloween 2024.
True that.
Yep. 345, by the way. It's true. Guys, just as we get started here, my apologies for being late, first and foremost. This is literally the final day of getting my kitchen all set up and finished up. And right before the show started at like 5:59 p.m. Eastern, I said to AJ, I was like, I am super dehydrated. I'm going to go grab some water from the refrigerator. And I opened the refrigerator and the light didn't go on. And I was like, well, maybe I should tell the guy who just finished working on my kitchen, who's about to leave, that something might be wrong. So that's what delayed us for the last 20, 30 minutes here. But luckily, everything is fixed and everything is good. So thank you for being patient.
My favorite part was when you were like, there was a loud explosion.
I mean, there was a noise. There was a loud pop for sure. Blew a circuit. But it's all good. It's all good. Circuits are meant to be blown. A lot of things are meant to be blown, AJ. That's where
yes, they
the
are.
oral pleasure comes from. AJ, what?
Bubbles. I was thinking bubbles.
Yeah?
Yeah. Bubbles are meant to be blown.
Bubbles are meant to be
bubbles?
popped. Like cherries.
Bubble pop.
I feel like this is a rehearsal show.
It does feel. It feels like we're about to go live in a minute.
Right? These are the kind of stupid ass jokes we make before we go live, and then go get out of your system because not everybody's going to appreciate this. AJ, listen, just so I can stop talking for a minute and consume a little bit more coffee, please, for the love of God, tell us what's been happening over on the underground. What's happening on your channel?
Oh man, well, honestly, it's been mostly just interactive chat. But I've been working on some other things on the side. And all my free time has been gone playing stuff. We've got, what's not on the thumbnail. We're going to be reviewing Rezzil Player, today. So I'm excited to talk about that one. And, yeah, man, of course, just been playing all these other games and some redacted things.
So just to clarify, what's been going on your channel is
nothing.
Is interactive chat. Okay.
Interactive chat.
Yeah.
It's been a little slow on the channel lately, but it should pick up very soon.
There's gonna be some background noise, by the way. Also, like I said, they're finishing up the kitchen still. If I move my head just the right way, you should be able to see the dude in the reflection somewhere. So keep your eyes peeled, and maybe you'll see Sean. He does exist.
John?
Jason! Push circle to Jason. I'm sure I get that all wrong. AJ, listen, it is Monday, and we like to start every single Monday show by thanking a very specific group of people. Isn't that right?
That's right, Brian. While you mute your microphone, we'd like to thank those who support us in another way by changing our name to something Gamecat related, something Gamecat, something about Gamecats adjacent. And this week, Brian, we have 3 new Gamecats to welcome to the Gamecat Dojo. Starting with, not sure about Xmas Brondo Cat.
My mic still isn't muted. Everything's falling apart.
It's what plants and Santa crave, Brian.
Bing. Yep. Sorry, I'm keeping my volume lower because this vacuum noise is really loud. Is it bad?
Fine.
Is it bad?
No, you're fine. I was just messing with you. I just wanted to mute you. We've also got serial killer, the Keeping It Mo Game Stash.
Bing. What did he say about Mo's?
Game Stash.
All right. It's Movember, everybody. Don't forget to contribute. Over on our Discord, Serial Killer has a link to the Movember Fund, the GameCat Movember Fund that you can contribute to if you feel like being a good person. But don't worry, most of us are bad people, so don't feel bad.
Finally, last but certainly not least, we've got Madder Than the Hatter, Game Catter.
Bing. That's good. Listen, AJ, I know you can't see the PFP on this one, but yeah. Man, that if anything has ever looked like an AI generated cat wearing an AI generated pair of VR goggles, this is it. This is exactly what that shit looks like. You tell Chat GPT, hey man, I want to see a cat wearing VR sunglasses, goggles, sunglasses, anything but a headset. Apparently, this is what you get.
Awesome. I'll have to check it later.
All right. People are saying the noise isn't too bad. It is what it is. Guys, if you change your name to GameCat because you love us almost as much as we love you, make sure you put hashtag GameCat in the comments below any Without Parole video so AJ can give you a shout out on next week's show, just like he did for these lovely, lovely felines. Bing, bing, bing. Let's tackle a couple of tips, AJ. We got Mustang 70 750R with the $1 tip. Didn't say anything, but we appreciate you so much.
Mustang 750. Ah. Yep.
Macho, the real estate procrastinating Gamecat. I know it's probably a song I recognize, but but the vacuuming is so much louder over here than it is for you. The $2 tip says it took Koi to get Brian to put that Playboy mag down. So, whatever happened to? Oh no, here it is. I was gonna say, where is that? No, it's right here. Nothing gets too far away from my desk. Yep.
Yeah, I was telling you. I know you texted me and you said, "I'm really sorry," but tell them that there's something went wrong in the kitchen. But I told them that you were playing Koi and I couldn't get you off of it.
That's fair. Whatever.
Which is actually the truth, but
I mean, it is what it is. I need that platinum. Yeah. All right. I guess we should take care of a couple other housekeeping things here while since I can't really think all that straight because of all the noise. Let's go with a good reminder for everyone to tune in to Without Parole this Saturday, because on this Saturday, November 25th at around noon Eastern, all 4 Without Parole co-hosts will be going live right here to duke it out for another top 25 debate. AJ, the question on everybody's mind is, well, there's 2 questions apparently. The first question is, why the fuck are you guys doing this right before all these other games are coming out, right before Arizona Sunshine 2, blah, 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 whatever. And the answer, of course, is the same reason we did it 3 months ago, right before Green Hell came out and right before...
Because we would never do a top 25 debate ever.
That's the answer.
We were... we waited for
everything
all
to come out.
To come out.
You're right. Exactly. But the other question is, how are we going to do this? We didn't actually talk about this and say, are we just going to use the same system as last time where, the system pops up and says, is this game better or is this game better? And we just pick one or the other. Or are we going to go back to our old grid system where we literally tear at each other's throat until somebody's crying in the fetal position?
Yeah, I've heard kind of both. I've heard some people say they like the old way because of the way that we get into more lengthy discussions about the thing. Mm-hmm. And then I heard some people that like the kind of more expedited voting system. And also I was happy with the end result of that. So I'm a fan of either way of these, really, either one of these. Anything but the way we did the top 50 is fine for me.
Oh, I don't remember how we did the top 50.
It was bad. It was bad. But the traditional way I've always loved. We get into lots of heated debates and stuff. A lot more. It leaves a lot more room for that. But the other way, like I said, the results were really nice. So,
yeah, I think there's a certain element of the 4 of us being on the same stream that's still relatively new for us. We haven't done too many of those, so I think everyone's still being very polite when we're all together. Whereas when it was you, me, and Dave, we were just too fucking sick of each other and didn't mind tearing hair and all that other shit. So I think the fighting will come in time. But yeah, no, that was always my favorite part when we had these passionate debates about which game is better. These 2 games that we desperately, passionately love, and we have to decide which one's better somehow by tearing the other one to shreds. So if this, I think because of when this is happening, because it's happening, in a very super busy season, a bunch of December games are about to come out. The end of November is going to be tough. I'm about to get into the whole PSVR award show, getting that all set up. And so because of that, I think I'm just going to kind of take the easy way out and say the way we did it last time is the way we're going to do it this time. And then we can reconsider that for 2024.
Word. Well, we'll make sure we.
Joel will be by in the morning.
Okay.
First thing.
Okay.
Bye, Sean.
Should I turn the camera on, Sean? Should you guys want to see Sean? Is that?
Bye, Sean.
Okay. He doesn't want it. We're not doing it. Thanks again, bud.
Yeah, what we'll do, if we do it the same way we did last time, we'll just make sure we kind of plea our case a little bit more. We'll talk about the games a little bit.
Yes.
More.
Yeah, we'll knock out the easy ones without too much discussion, and then when it comes to, Gran Turismo and Resident Evil and all the bigger games, we'll make sure that we have some lengthier conversations about those. All right, well, that takes care of that. AJ, big news story today. I'm not sure if you caught it. I'm sure you did. There's NDreams, one of the most prolific and possibly one of the highest quality VR studios out there, got acquired, and by Aonic. Sorry, sirens on my end. I wasn't familiar with Aonic before this acquisition. Is this a company you were familiar with?
Absolutely not.
Oh, well, good. I feel a little bit better then. Well, to shed a little light on the topic, we can go over to gamespress.com and see what they have to say about this as soon as I can find it. Here it is. All right. Excuse me. Nothing's working, AJ. There it is.
Everything's broken.
Dude, everything's broken all the time. Aonic completes acquisition of NDreams for $110 million. Virtual reality specialists join rapidly growing gaming group to strengthen grip on VR and mixed reality game space. It says Aonic today has completed the acquisition of NDreams, the world's biggest VR game developer and publisher, for a total enterprise value close to $110 million. Can we stop there for a second? Did we realize how big NDreams was? That they are the world's biggest VR game developer?
Possibly since Firesprite got acquired, but yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, NDreams apparently now has, and I found this out recently, not even just from this article, that they have a team of like 200 to 250 people, something like that. That they have definitely expanded quite a lot, and that's something that's really cool. That you're actually, if you take a look around and actually do a little digging, you'll see a lot of these VR developers that started as just like a 3-man, 4-man team, and now it's really great to see the growth in the space, and that some of these studios are growing to like 100, 200 size. Like that's pretty big.
Yeah, I guess the thing that I probably didn't take into consideration here was the fact that they opened Studio Elevation a while ago, and that is their division for making AAA VR games that we actually haven't seen anything from. And so there's a whole group of people at NDreams who are knee deep in making this next big, gigantic AAA VR game we haven't heard anything about. And so what we're seeing is like these smaller games, Ghostbusters and Synapse and Fract. What's the Metal Gear Kayak one?
Metal Gear Kayak.
Cool. So those were, those are all like, relatively smaller games. So the fact that there's a whole team of working on something we haven't seen anything of, I guess that's where I got thrown off a little bit. Also, we finished one sentence of this article, so let's keep moving. Headquartered in Stockholm, Sweden, Aonic is a group of global gaming companies with diverse specialisms. The group, which includes the likes of Warren Spector's Other Side Entertainment, Milky Tea, Xmox, and Two Toe Tunes, invested an initial $35 million in NDreams in March 2022 and received a minority stake. The cash injection precipitated an incredibly fruitful period for NDreams, during which the team has more than doubled in size to 250 people. Internally developed titles such as Game Awards nominated Synapse and Ghostbusters Rise of the Ghost Lord have been released, while investments in third-party publishing have powered the chart-topping launch of Power Wash Simulator VR and the enduring success of Little Cities. NDreams even made its own acquisition with VR AR expert Nearlight, joining December 2022. Nearlight, I believe, was the Shooty Fruity team, right? And then they said, "Fuck it, we're buying those guys." This is a long article. We don't need to go through the entire thing. AJ, this is a really unsure time for video games, especially for video game developers. You see people losing their jobs, all these people getting laid off. If you follow a lot of developers on Twitter, it seems like a lot of them are suddenly looking for jobs. And this seems like a good thing on the surface, but it does worry me a little bit, because as all these studios get consolidated, we saw it with the Embracer Group. Embracer Group bought up all of these different studios and then proceeded to shut a bunch of them down over the following few years. And so this kind of stuff worries me a little bit, especially when you have such a talented team like NDreams. But I think at least surface level, I think it's pretty positive.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a sign of the times that you're seeing all this consolidation happen. It's not a coincidence at all, really. There's definitely, when COVID happened, there was a huge increase in game development and the market, and then now that's kind of died down a little bit, and people are finding other ways back to kind of restoring the original ways they found entertainment and stuff, and they're not having to find ways of entertainment being stuck in their house. So during that time, a lot of studios beefed up and grew, and now that things are kind of restoring back to a little bit more normalcy, now there's this there's a huge overhead of staff and whatnot for a lot of development teams, and that's why you're seeing so many layoffs and stuff, and it's horrible. That it sucks that it's happening, but it's just the reality of the situation. And it's interesting with this acquisition. I don't really know much about Aonic, but what I did see was that, because you were saying what does this mean for NDreams moving forward? Well, I don't think a whole lot's going to change. What this hopefully means is that they just have the support and the backbone that they get from this from merging with this company. But if you take a look at it, it says in the details that they're still being run by the same people that were running the company before. They're still being managed. This is a decentralized network of this team, this Aonic. They're not like we're just gonna call the shots from a central point and whatever. No, they're more investing in studios and supporting them, but also want them to kind of manage themselves and whatnot. And yeah, I think they couldn't have grabbed probably a better studio than NDreams. But hopefully this just leads to not much changing, and just NDreams maybe even having more budget, more time to create bigger things for VR.
Yeah, that's the hope. That's the hope. Because with that studio elevation, that making AAA games in VR isn't cheap. It takes time, it takes money, and so obviously the hope is that games like Ghostbusters and Synapse and Fract, these smaller games that they put out, every 18 months or so, is funding that. But to be able to have this other support that you can kind of fall back on and say, this larger corporation has kind of taken us under their wing and making sure that we've got all the money we need to do these things, gives them a little more breathing room, I would expect. I don't know a lot about how businesses work though, so that may not be the case.
Yeah, if you give NDreams, I'm really curious to see what happens when you give NDreams the budget and the time to really develop some larger games, because every one of their games, maybe besides Ghostbusters, but maybe Ghostbusters included, but Synapse, for example, and Fract, for example, they're really fun games. They're really fun to play. Mm-hmm. They have a lot of really high quality production values in many ways, but the one thing that keeps happening is that their games lack depth, and replay value and things like that, when it seems like in some cases that's fine, but it's not like they're delivering a super story driven experience here. It's no, and so it would be nice to see them develop something, do the same thing they're doing, but just have a little bit more depth and content in their games.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's been one of the few complaints we've had about NDreams games. The mechanics fundamentally are always feel good, and the games always look really good. And so, but then next thing you know, it's been 3 hours and it's over, which is a little bit of a shame. So yeah, seeing what they can do.
But it's interesting though. It's because Sony definitely seemed to be very fond of the studio, and they are UK based, and the Sony's, at least the current leadership of Sony is UK based, and so I have a feeling that had a lot to do with it. And maybe with this regime on its way out, maybe this was part of the decision to move on and kind of do their own thing.
One guy is on his way out. Jim Ryan. He's not the whole regime. One guy.
Unfortunately.
It's not going to change much. All right, man. Well, good. I mean, congratulations to NDreams. Definitely heard the news this morning, and it felt like it was surrounded in lots of positivity. NDreams seems to be celebrating, so congratulations to them. We're very happy for them, and hopefully this is nothing but good things for the future of their company and VR, of course. Moving on, though, AJ, you and I both checked out a new game, kind of stealth launched on the PlayStation Store. We knew it was coming. We had no idea when. It was Rezzil Player. What did you?
I did not. I remember.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So he tried to leave with my
Sean.
keys. Oh, AJ says hi. The game's called Rezzil Player, and it's kind of a sports training exercise game of some kind. He literally just walked back to my apartment after I thought he was gone. He was like, I forgot something. He's holding my keys up in the air. Like, yep, that'll do it. So I think we probably can go the rest of the show without any more interruptions. So that means cue the sirens any second now. AJ, what did you think of Rezzil Player? We both spent some time with this one.
So Rezzil Player, it's stealth dropped out of nowhere, and it is basically a sports training application that features a couple different types of game modes. There's a football mode, a soccer mode, a basketball mode, and then they've thrown in a reaction time thing, which is like something you find at the arcade a lot, where it's like this thing with the light up balls in front of you, and you have to, like, whatever one lights up, you got to touch or tap, and it tests your reaction. I didn't know much about this going in. I typically, anytime something like this stealth drops or pops up, I assume the worst, that it's going to be some kind of shovelware, awful garbage thing that should have been much better. And this was only $16. I just picked it up myself. I didn't even bother asking for a review key.
Yep.
And it's not bad. It's actually not bad, and I was enjoying my time with it. And I find it to be kind of, we'll get into the reasons why. We'll get into a little bit more details. But I kind of feel like this is somewhat of a good, almost similar kind of sports champions kind of thing for PSVR 2.
Okay.
Maybe not that level of like replay value and content and stuff. But I'm actually somewhat impressed for a game that came out of nowhere.
Yeah. I definitely, I mean, I played through a bunch of the modes, and apparently I feel like I was struggling a little bit with the menus, trying to find all the events and figure out where everything was, because there's I didn't even see the goalkeeping option. Did you do the goaltending stuff? Like the stuff where you are the goalie, not the stuff where you're shooting it through. Yeah, I missed it entirely. Yeah. And so the minor complaints. The menu's a little tough to get used to, and although everything's super high res, the display in the headset super high res, you'll see some, the ground textures and stuff that you're seeing are like pretty low res. But everything looks clear and crisp, and it actually, I think, looks good overall. And as AJ said, it's pretty cheap, so it's easy to forgive the smaller things. But it feels good if you're looking for a good fitness app. There's quite a few things to do here, and certainly keeps you coming back daily if you feel like doing that. Listen, I'm only going to talk about the reaction wall real quick here, only because this is what I've got playing on the screen. And this is the first time ever, AJ, that I wish PSVR2 had a larger FOV because the first wall they give you is only like this big, and you can see every single
wall,
light, right? But then the next wall they give you is like much bigger, and it goes just outside your peripheral.
Yeah, slightly out of it.
Yep.
And then the 160 is like you have to like really turn your head. But I think that's kind of the point. I mean, even your vision, I guess you could see it with your natural vision. You'd be able to see it in your peripheral vision. It kind of eliminates your peripheral vision. But yeah, man, you mentioned that this is a fitness app, and Serial Killer, the Keeping It Mo Game Stash asked, would you choose this over Les Mills? Honestly, while I was playing this, I was thinking to myself, this is why, like, for for whenever I said like I hated Les Mills body combat or whatever the heck it's called, like this game I feel like is a much better thing and much better priced. I don't know how much was Les Mills. It was like really expensive, wasn't it?
I don't even remember. I don't think I could get Les Mills started. I think it wanted me to stand where my couch was and it wouldn't let me recalibrate.
I thought it was awful. I mean it's okay. Maybe it's not the most horrible thing ever, but I hated it. Let's put it that way. This I thought was really good, but this is really important to note. This is one of the first games, Brian, that it actually forces you to use like room scale. Like you have to have a lot of space for this game, because it won't even let you play the game basically if you don't calibrate for like a 6 foot by 7 foot space. So it took me a minute to get set up. And here's the thing, Brian, is that I love PCVR. I mean, I love PSVR and stuff. When I play VR games, like I like to stand and stuff for immersion. Mm-hmm. I do not like moving around, which is why I've never had a problem with wired or anything like that. Sure. I don't have, I've got a good amount of space, but I don't have like tons of space. And it made me very nervous at first because when you're playing the football mode in this, you have to really get into it, and the throwing mechanics feel really, really good. But it wants you to take a step forward and throw, or like it wants you to plant your back foot and take a step back and throw it, or whatnot. There's also stuff where like these things come at you, and it's like it's got like football mechanics. It's mostly just throwing into like hoops, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's kind of more just target practice. But it simulates kind of like what the gameplay mechanics of how American football is played. And it wants you to be able to take a step forward, take a step back, take a step to side. And so like you need to be able to have enough space to at least do that, to play it.
I just want to be real clear with anybody who's watching. I have a very small amount of room to play VR, and I was able to do this just fine. Like it was literally, I was just basically, changing which foot was in front of the other one. It required, I don't know, 4 square feet, like just like some slight motions.
Yeah.
It wasn't huge.
You don't need tons of space, but it's just the fact that like, I felt like I was playing better when I had more freedom to move and not worry about, I've got a lot of electronics in here. And so like, it terrifies me. I like playing VR, even if I'm standing up in place, I like to generally stay in one spot.
Yep.
I'm not one of these people that yes, I like the immersion of it, but I also like the safety and my health and the safety of my equipment and electronics.
Your dog. I don't want to step on Tornado. Like, I mean, even the reaction wall, one of the reaction wall modes had you hitting something high above you and then having to drop to the floor and hit something on the ground. And I felt every time I had to drop to the ground, I was like, oh, please, Tornado, don't be down there. Is right. So like so when you've played VR long enough, you do get very conscious of the space that you're in. And so that's it's something that I do struggle with here and there, just because I don't, even though I live alone, I don't want to smush Tornado on my way down.
But so this is the thing about this game that's really strange. Is like, I'm like, why is it called Rezzil Player? Like why? Like, so I think the game is actually pretty solid. But I think it could use a little branding, like a little bit better branding, because I'm like, Rezzil Player is like such a random thing. Well, I looked up Rezzil Player, and they're actually like a sports media website or something, but they also delve into like VR, XR applications for like simulation and training of sports. And one thing I noticed right away, I don't know about for you, I assume you'll agree with me here, but I thought the way that they actually like explain in the tutorial and stuff, I actually was really impressed, because there's so many games that either try to teach you or do a tutorial or something, and like it's usually, in some cases, it's usually pretty bad. And I actually thought the tutorial sections of this were really well designed. They're simple, they're straightforward. Yep. They kind of explain to you like why you're doing certain things, or they even give you tips on like how to throw the ball properly and everything. And I actually thought they did a really good job just kind of easing you into this game.
Yeah, it's funny. They actually tell you in the tutorial, like when you're heading balls, picture yourself with using your hands and pushing your head through a picture frame, right? and I was like, that sounds fucking stupid, right? And then but then they were like, but you can hold these buttons to bring up the picture frame, and I was like, what? And so you can literally hold buttons on the controller, and it gives you like a picture frame to push your head through, and you can do that while you're playing the game. At any point, you can bring that picture frame up. And I got to fucking tell you that when you move your hands and move the head through the frame the way that they tell you to, it works better.
It worked.
Yeah,
I told you. Yeah, see, they're good at this stuff, man.
Yeah.
They obviously have some kind of background in sports training and stuff, and sports in general. And I feel like they really knew what they were talking about. And even the way they describe things, like they're like, well, you're in VR now. What makes VR so cool is that you can do this, right? They do like a lot of that, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. That is pretty cool, and that's a really great explanation on how to do this, understanding the motions that it wants you to do, and guiding you kind of how to play the game properly. And yeah, like once I got going, I've really, really liked the football mode in this, where you're basically just like, it's like I said, it's kind of like target practice, but the throwing mechanics feel really good once you get used to them. There is something with the throwing mechanics that I wasn't crazy about, which is like, if to throw a perfect spiral, it wants you to press left on the joystick or something while you're throwing it. And I thought that didn't really work so well. Like, it's really hard to, like, as you're releasing a throw, to hit the joystick.
That's so weird that you said that, because I was literally I was hanging out in voice chat earlier, and Rypop was the one who played this before any of us. He downloaded it immediately and was like, because he'd been waiting for it, if you can believe it. And so I was telling him, I was like, it actually feels really good to me to throw the football, and just on release, you want to snap that analog stick to the left as you're letting go of the ball, and it worked for me every single time, and it actually felt really good. So it's just, I think it's just a little bit of practice.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. Is it probably takes some practice to get used to that. But I was messing up constantly trying to do that. But yeah, the football mode has, I think, the most content in the game. I was very surprised to see there's like 40 levels, 50 levels or something. It seemed like there was a lot of levels. Maybe it was like 20 or 30.
The soccer one is too. Like when you're heading the ball into the goal, like there was a ridiculous number of levels. I was surprised that they didn't have the same thing going for the reaction walls. Instead, they just say, "Hey, use these modifiers if you want to make it harder." And I'm like, I don't like when I have to make it harder. I want them to put me through my paces and say, "Hey, like here's level 2 is harder, level 3 is harder, level 4 is harder." I don't want to do it myself, and that's why I really did enjoy the heading and the football stuff, because they'd already created those levels for me.
Yeah, for fans of Headmaster, they've got your Headmaster mode in this, and I kind of like this. I'm like, yeah, like Headmaster makes more sense to me. I know I'm going to get some flack for this as like a mode versus like an entire campaign based around it. Although I like some of Headmaster, I never liked the way it felt, but this feels fine. I was so pleased that there was a little bit of headset buzz. Yep. When you head the ball.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very light, because if you're doing that constantly, I mean, that would drive you crazy if that was an intense buzz. But the fact that it's like, okay, I'm so glad that they know what system they're developing for and stuff, and took advantage of that. But yeah, it runs at this game actually, I think in the menu it says that it runs at 90 frames per second.
Okay.
Which was nice.
It has that smooth feel to it, so I'm not surprised to hear that.
It's very sharp and very clear and very smooth, like you said. In the options, it actually says it's 90 frames per second. And yeah, it doesn't have the most amazing textures or lighting, but they do enough. The stadiums and stuff, there's some stadiums that actually look like a really nice modern football stadium where it gets a little fancy and stuff. Of course, you've got the crowd. The stands are full of the crowd, but it's like the typical Cruising USA sideline audience that's like a flat image that's like moving like a little bit. I was like, oh my god, it's like being in an N64 game. But yeah, aside from so there's the football where you're basically throwing into targets and stuff, and then they introduce like defenders for it, and you got to get around the defenders. There's also defensive people that try to like sack you or whatever. There's a sack timer, and it takes all this stuff into account. For the soccer, there's the header game where you basically try to head the ball into little targets and stuff, or like into space. You try to get it into the ring around the player, right, or something like that. There's like a zone that you want to hit the ball into.
Sorry, which mode is this again?
The headmaster mode.
Yeah, I mean, depending on the level, there's always different places to bounce it into. Yeah.
There's the goalkeeping, which is really cool. I was so happy to see this. But yeah, you play as just the goalie, and there's like they shoot balls at you, and they've got these ramps and stuff, and different angles. And again, this one for me freaked me out because it does take a little bit of space. There were some I had to kind of lunge for a little bit. But yeah, and then there's the reaction game. The one game, Brian, I don't know if you got to check this out, but the basketball one. Now, I chose this one for last because, first of all, I am terrible at basketball, and I'm not the biggest fan of it either.
Lucky for you, this has nothing to do with shooting hoops.
Yeah, so I was really confused because I started playing it, and it's like, all the other ones are like these awesome, like, real like sports training kind of things, and but then I play the basketball mode, and you're holding a ball up to like some stuff like a rhythm game, and got to get the ball through the hoop that's coming at you or whatever.
Exactly. And every so often, multiple hoops will come at you, and they'll have different colors on them, and so you have to pay attention. If there's any other players that appear on the court, you have to see what color they are, and then make sure you go through that color hoop. At first, I said this was really dumb, and then eventually I said, "Oh, this is actually really fun," and it got my heart rate up a little bit, and I started sweating a little bit. I was like, "Well, that's good." And Brad Pop was telling me this is actually something that they do during when you do basketball training. I don't know if it's a stamina thing or what it is, but so that was reassuring as well. I actually liked it. It was weird because I thought I was going to be shooting hoops, and it was weird to hold an imaginary basketball between my two controllers. But eventually, you go, okay, well, this is all part of it. It's like part of. You got to keep your hands steady while you're doing all this as quickly as you can. And so if you drop the ball, then you got to hit the triggers again to pick it back up. I enjoyed it. I was surprised because I thought it was stupid at first.
I mean, I don't really like basketball to begin with, but I was kind of like, well, I would have probably rather at least practice shooting hoops or something, like had the option to. I don't know if that's in there. I didn't spend too much time with that mode. I didn't see it. No. But I liked all the other modes, and yeah, this was a weird like rhythm game one, but I liked all the other modes. I saw you on the leaderboards on the reaction thing. Number
considering
6.
how we played it twice, that's not too bad.
Yeah, you were number 6. Congratulations, but I did get number 1 in the world.
Shocker.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it felt good to beat a world record, Brian. I'm not trying to post
don't
too
worry,
much.
we've already lost interest.
Just number 1.
Yeah,
is all I'm saying.
I did look up Les Mills, by the way, just for comparison, and it is a $30 game. This is like almost half that price, just a little over. And I saw a few people that were concerned that were saying we were throwing shade at Les Mills. I haven't even successfully started Les Mills, so I don't have an opinion on it at all. My plan is to.
You've played Box VR. It's the same thing.
Okay, well, I like Box VR
with a couple slightly different mechanics, and then it's also got the same shit that the seventh guest has, the volumetric 3D record, and it's just people telling you good job, and
Good. Well,
like a trainer.
sometimes
like
you
a,
need
like a
that stuff
trainer.
in your life,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Um,
I
yeah, but
sorry, go ahead.
what I was going to say was that, because the kitchen's finally done as of today. And so getting this place set back up, now that I have the opportunity, everything's out of whack, everything's out of place, everything's sort of just piled in the middle of the room. When I put it back together, well, now I have the opportunity to put it back together in a way that makes sense for somebody who's playing VR games constantly. And so I can actually give myself a whole lot of room to play VR. And so Les Mills is something I'm definitely looking to check out, especially since I need to lose some fucking weight, AJ. And so getting into a regular routine of playing like Les Mills every day or doing this every day or whatever it happens to be, maybe going outside and going for a walk, whatever it happens to be, needs to be part of my daily routine starting very soon.
Yeah, I like fitness games. Let me make this very clear. Like, because I'm not just trying to knock on Les Mills. I know some people like it, and that's fine. Some people, people have different preferences for the things. I like games that I like games that also provide fitness. Like that's why I've always liked Beat Saber as a fitness thing,
For sure.
or Synth Riders as a fitness thing. I like to play a game and work out, to get a little bit of exercise at the same time. And like this to me is way more tailored for me. I prefer this much more than some of the other applications available, because it feels like I'm just dropping back and throwing the football or something. But dude, I was sweating like crazy. Like I broke mad sweat playing this game. So it is definitely was definitely working for me in terms of like getting a little bit of physical activity.
Good.
There's also you mentioned like the UI and stuff. Yeah, some stuff can be kind of buried or kind of hard to find.
Yeah.
I actually think the UI is really good overall, though. Like it's very clean and straightforward.
Maybe it's something I'll get used to once I start doing things on a more regular basis. But yeah, just trying to find all the activities and making sure I didn't miss anything was sort of obviously I failed at that because I've missed an entire activity.
The other thing I like about this is that there's a lot of music on here.
Yeah.
That you can choose from, and like that's why I like the UI. Is like there's a lot of music. This is the thing, is that like Les Mills, Box VR, these are like designed, and like O-Shape, these are designed around music. Like music is a very important part of this, but they don't have good music in like I can't stand the generic, like it sounds like free. It sounds worse than free YouTube copyright free music.
Yep.
This game surprisingly has a very like pretty good soundtrack and a wide variety of stuff to choose from. And you can also go into the settings and like uncheck anything you don't like. And it's got music for everyone. It's got like everything from like, rap to rock to metal to, I don't know, dub techno, whatever you call that stuff. Sure, that one. And so that was just a nice little touch. But at the end of the day, I do think I would have liked to see for $16, it's fine. I maybe would want a little bit more content with it, because I don't know the staying power that it has. But I don't really like to work out in VR, but if I did want to feel like I needed some fun VR exercise, this would probably be my go-to. I do wish it had like a baseball mode, though, like a home run derby. I wish it had just a couple more sporting modes. Like I said, to really give that sports champions kind of thing, take that place of that. I wish it was tailored a little bit more toward that. Like, give me a baseball mode, a home run derby, a pitching thing.
It sounds like you need an all-in-one sports game like we got on PSVR1 last week.
Oh, that came out last week?
Yeah.
Wow, I can't believe that ever released. That's crazy.
Yeah. I didn't. I think I bought it, but I didn't actually download it yet. Like,
yeah,
I can't even set up my PSVR1 quite yet. I will though soon. I promise.
Yeah, but I feel like this is
it's good.
pretty decent.
It's good, man. It's good. And that's probably more time than we should ever spend talking about Rezzil Player on GamesCast Live.
Change the name, though. Change the name of the app.
Let's take a couple tips, and then we'll get back to our next topic. Macho, the real estate procrastinating Gamecat with a $2 tip. This is obviously in reference to our top 25 debate. He says just a bunch of dorks arguing about VR games online. That's fucking true.
It's kind of true.
Macho's next tip with the $5 tip. He says, okay, so NDreams is our Lord and Savior. That'll lead us to VR Hala. Hopefully the road ahead isn't as short as their games. NDreams, get us our ports. Ports of, dude, yeah, like seriously, where's it's
I would love a remastered version of Fract.
Remastered Fract. I don't know what Phantom Covert Ops. I don't know if that like it's like the lifetime exclusivity with Meta or what the deal is with that. But I feel like that's a game that's probably aged pretty well. The last time I checked in on it was like I was enjoying it quite a bit. I'd love to see a PSVR2 version of that. Yeah, like we're just gonna leave the assembly to die on last gen hardware. No, we need the assembly on PSVR2.
Do we though?
I mean, yeah.
I think of all their games, that's the one that I would let die on the platform.
Man, you're so not fun. Salvador with the $5 tip says, Brian, the next person showing up is the old lady that lived there before you to get her magazine back. Or plot twist, it was her in the magazine. Yeah, a lot of people were like, how old is the magazine? Because the person that lived in the apartment before you could very well have owned the magazine because they were in it. Which I think is a stretch. But you know, I think some people just look at porn, and that's way less of a stretch.
Or if you're Brian, you play Koi Koi.
I haven't. No.
What's the rest of that game called?
Koi something? Love Blossoms.
Love Blossoms.
Is that it? Is it a of
I just kept saying Koi Koi because I couldn't remember the rest of it. Yeah.
No, there's not too many PSVR2 games. I feel like I'm going to skip this gen, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to skip that one. So unless Miles goes to bat for it on a top 25 list, and then in which case I might have to check it out in order to see how I feel about it. Macho follows up on his last tip with a $2 tip saying the ports we want are PS3, PS4, and PS5 games. So you're saying flat screen games is what you're saying. You want flat screen games ported into VR. Just like our next news story, Bulletstorm VR got delayed. Sorry, guys. It's a thing. It was supposed to come out, I think December 14th or something like that. We were right around the corner, less than a month away. And then today we got word from Incuvo. I got word from 47, their PR team this morning in an email, explaining that the delay to January 16th, 18th. I think January 18th is the new release date. Do we have that? I just want to make sure. Yeah, January 18th. They explained this was done to allow time for extra polish to bring the game up to the high standards set by the development team and expected by players. AJ, how confident are you that Incuvo has kind of figured shit out? Because obviously Green Hell, although a great game when it came out on PSVR2, I had a really good time with it. Thought it was really fun and looked okay, but obviously some resolution problems and LOD drawing problems. How confident are you that they've kind of rectified all of this and that they're going to release Bulletstorm now after this delay, pretty much issue free?
Well, if anything, honestly, I hope this does. The end result is that it turns out something polished, but obviously it was not. Obviously, it was not in good shape. I mean, from what I read from the thing there, it sounded like the director or somebody in charge got a look at it and said, no, and that this needs more work. That they said they wanted to flesh out the gameplay mechanics, make it play better, make it look better, polish it up, because they said there's an opportunity here to actually, that will lead to more sales of the game if it's actually good. It's kind of like the vibe that I was getting from the thing. I mean, this is their press release or whatever that I saw. I'm pretty sure this was like the official thing that they said. So it sounded like the game was going to be a disaster, and they're trying to avoid that. So I don't honestly have the highest faith in it, but I do like that they chose to delay it rather than just stealth drop it and stealth drop a shit game.
I'm curious. Is this like the image that they tweeted out? Is that it? Because it sounds like you've read something different than what I read, and if this was going to be a disaster.
Well, that's my own speculation,
No,
but that's
I understand.
That's what
but
it sounded like.
It sounded like you implied something from it that I didn't see. And and if something's going to be a disaster, they need to actually redo some gameplay mechanics or change. I mean, a month is not enough time to do anything that big. It's enough time to add a little bit of polish, but it's certainly not enough to revamp anything.
Yeah. Yeah, what I read, I'll have to see if I can find it.
Yeah, please
because
do.
I do want to, for the sake of accuracy, I do want to, but I thought I read something that said, basically that they want to, just ensure that that the gameplay was up to par. And I thought I saw something specifically regarding the gameplay, that there was that they wanted to maybe introduce, to me, it's when you look at the trailer, if you played the base game and then you look at the trailer, there's a couple things you notice. They do have the whip, which is nice, but there's no blood, and this game was kind of fun because it is kind of on the campy side of things, where it's very exaggerated, and it's kind of over the top and ridiculous, and that's kind of the charm of the game. But it was also fun to play. So that's just from what I read earlier. It's hard to find it again where I read it from, but from what I gathered, it just sounded like
it is hard to find an imaginary press release, AJ. So I'm not surprised you're having. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, I saw this in 3 different places. There was some translated article that we saw 2 days ago. There was the official press release from Incuvo. Then there was the from the 47 PR team. We're getting messages from all over the place. So I'm not surprised that if you saw something I didn't, that wouldn't shock me in the slightest. I will say that what I'm happy about is that a lot of people seem happy about delays at this point. People used to get really frustrated at delays and be like, oh man, I really wanted to play this. And it's yeah, we all wanted to play it. There's no question about that. But the fact is that I think we've been burned enough times that now when we hear about these delays, we go, well, let's keep our fingers crossed that this is enough time for them to kind of work out all those day one bugs and all the stuff like that. We just have to wait a month and get a patch every other week for a month to get sorted out. Otherwise, you get a game like Hellsweep that ends up sitting on your hard drive that just isn't doing anything that you paid for, and you're just not playing because you're waiting for all the patches to come. So I'd much rather have this. And it sounds like I did a poll before the show began, which had the added benefit of me being a half an hour late. So it got a lot of responses. The poll was, do you even care when games get delayed anymore? And only 6% of you said, yeah, it really bothers me. 26% of you says it depends on the game or the length of the delay. And then a whopping 67, 2/3 of the people, AJ, said, nah, it doesn't bother me. I'd rather have it be good. And so,
yeah. I saw on Twitter somebody quoted I don't know if this was new or old, but it was they were quoting Gabe Newell, and he said something he said a delayed game is only for a moment, but a shit game is a shit launch, or a delayed launch is temporary, but a shit launch is forever.
Yeah,
I couldn't agree more.
It was the worst quote of Miyamoto I've ever seen.
Was it a Miyamoto quote?
But yeah, because they were attributing the quote to him, which he did say. But this is a very old Shigeru Miyamoto quote. I'm talking about how a delayed game is only delayed for a short amount of time, and a bad game is bad forever. And so it was funny for them to be quoting him, being like, "Well, this is a horrible way to say the exact same thing that someone way cooler said a long time ago."
This was IGN or something.
Yeah, well, shocker, AJ. IGN didn't nail something. Who would have ever suspected?
Oh man!
And obviously, and hopefully everyone knows I'm joking. There's still a lot of great talent at IGN, and there's so many people that work there that it's hard to say everybody, is under the same rug on that one. It's not true.
But yeah, no, I'm totally with you here, man. I'm tired. I'll tell you what the worst feeling is, man, is buying a bunch of games and then having to put them in a folder called "Wait for a Patch."
Yep.
It's like, that's sad. That's a piss poor situation that, as a consumer, I am very highly against. It really pisses me off, and luckily it's only been a few isolated incidents. But yeah, at this point, man, like, I think the thing that I saw earlier, it made an important point though, which was, if you like, what some studios, what I don't understand is, like, why are you even releasing this game in this state when you're hurting your sales? I mean, you want to make money, right? Like, are you just doing this all for nothing? Because to me, that should be an obvious thing, is that, hey, if the game is good, more people will buy it. And we've seen that. We've seen stuff like Crossfire, where it spreads by word of mouth. It spreads by the demonstration of the gameplay of the, everything. We're starting to see games like Propagation Paradise Hotel, which is not something that everybody is familiar with. That is clearly an example of a game that focused so much on providing a quality content title, or quality content, that it did well. It did well because people go, "Oh my God, this is so good." Red Matter is another one. It's like, nobody 5 years ago, people liked Red Matter, but that game has really survived solely on just the word of mouth of how incredible it is. It didn't have this huge marketing campaign and stuff, right?
Right, and that's why there's been, I think, a pretty decent shift in the gaming landscape, where I start to trust more indie studios more than anything else, because indie studios have a little bit more leeway and are able to say, hey, we're, the people in charge are working more closely with the people who are actually making the game, and it's not just some people in suits making all these decisions in their ivory towers saying, we're releasing the game now, whether it's done or not, right? And so, but there's got to be a shift in gaming soon enough, and hopefully that it will be caused by people who stop pre-ordering and stop buying broken games, and so hopefully the consumers can cause this shift, where studios have to realize, we can't release this game broken. We have to, because you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. However, we've also sort of allowed developers time and time again to make as many fucking impressions as they want, right? Cyberpunk launched in a pretty horrid state, and here we are now, like, a year or two later, like, praising it, being like, this is fucking an incredible game, which, yes, it is, but fuck, man, like, it wouldn't have gotten there if, like, we didn't all buy this kind of broken game to begin with. So we're in a tough situation right now, but hopefully it'll all kind of work itself out over time.
Mind you, they haven't even patched Green Hell yet.
That's the other thing.
Like, we're still waiting. We're still waiting on Green Hell to get patched.
Yep. Yeah, we got one patch early on that was like, oh, it makes it easier to read things because we changed the lighting on paper. And it was like, great. Now everything else, and they said everything else is coming. Right? They said everything else is coming, but, like, it's been 3 months since that game came out. It's like, I'm not convinced that an extra month is going to help these guys figure out what they need to do here if we haven't even gotten the last game fixed yet.
Yeah, that's where I start to see the problems. Is, like you said, they haven't fixed the first game that launched, which I don't think ever hit the top 10 charts. Maybe it did once at best.
I don't remember, yeah.
Like, partially, but I don't think I've seen it on the thing, and that's just the way that the landscape has changed in the VR world. Is like, I mean, marketing and stuff can do a lot, but there is no marketing for PSVR, so it has to spread by word of mouth.
True. True.
And yeah, and you see the ones that, deservedly so, most of the time are doing really well. If you want to sell a broken game, then prepare to the thing that might be the worst is the backlash that you better be ready to face. If the sales don't bother you, if the quality of the product you're releasing doesn't bother you, well, I'm sure the endless barrage of angry internet people every single day might get to you, because I didn't see anybody get it as bad as Green Hell did.
That's true. I think a lot of people were looking forward to Green Hell, and Green Hell had a uphill battle on their hands the second everybody found out that it was a port of the Quest version and not the PC version. And so,
But hey,
so
sorry, good.
I mean, so they were fighting lots of different battles from the get go. You know, so I'm really hoping that we see studios like the Foglands, you know, like the Well Told Entertainment. Hopefully they've learned a lesson or two and can figure their shit out. Like there's been a lot of different games lately, that have released in kind of a poor state that needed probably six to 12 more months in the oven. And so, you know, I think Firewall is an example. So if they waited, it would have been a much better first impression. And now it's like, you know, sure, Firewall might be better than it was at launch. Certain things actually work.
Damage they've done though,
big time. They've really damaged their reputation. They've damaged their IP. Firewall no longer is this legendary game in people's heads. When people think of Firewall now, they think of like a kind of a buggy mess where they stand around and hope that they don't lose their friends when the match begins. And so it's not a great impression to be making.
It's not a good business model, Brian.
No, exactly. Macho, the real estate procrastinating Gamecat with the $5 tip. He's like the biggest tipper of the day, man. He's like going hard on this. He says Incuvo has a big chance or opportunity here. First, it's the first PS3 or PS4 port. They have a lot of eyes on them. Don't drop the ball. I mean, Bulletstorm is originally a PS3 360 game. And we got I think a PS4 remaster. So yeah, he's onto it here. But man,
it came out around the time of Skyrim, unfortunately.
The thing, yeah, I Macho's definitely onto something here, because if this fails, if it doesn't go over well, I think so few other studios will look at the actual reviews and say, oh, well, here's why it failed, right? The gameplay mechanics weren't very good, and like the cutscenes were all in 2D, or I mean, you name it. Like there's a ton of reasons why this could go bad, and go, well, this, and their assumption will be, well, bringing older games into VR is not the way to go. Meanwhile, the entire VR community is jumping up and down screaming, please, for the love of God, bring older games into VR, because they're just sitting around doing absolutely fucking nothing. Like, where the hell is BioShock VR? That game is just sitting around doing nothing. For the love of God, somebody port that into VR. And so this does have to go right, because people don't pay attention to the reason things go wrong. They just say, this went wrong, let's not do it. And so
right.
I really, really hope that they don't screw this up, so that they set a good precedent, not just for PSVR2, not just for their own studio, but for VR in general, because this is what VR needs. It's more full-fledged fucking games, and we have a lot of them sitting around from last gen and the generation before doing nothing. IPs that are just being fucking wasted because no one's using them. So fingers crossed that this goes well. And that's a good point, Macho. Thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you indeed. That is a very excellent point. So yeah, really big fingers crossed, because yeah, you don't want other developers to get discouraged. You want this to be a situation where other developers are inspired to take another IP and do this to it and replicate the success that this game had. And
right. Imagine this sitting on the top of the sales charts for like 3 months straight, and every VR developer out there, like NDreams, people who are like, you know, sitting around like wasting their time coming up with new ideas. It's like what? Can you imagine like a surge of everybody suddenly buying up all these IPs or licensing IPs from like the PS3 360 generation, and like all of those games, like The Darkness, like I was gonna say The Suffering, that was PS2, but you know what I'm saying? Like there's all these great games that have just been forgotten from that era, and how great would it be if all these VR studios just started like gobbling all these IPs up, getting the licenses to them, and saying, hey, we're taking this game that you love and we're bringing it back in VR. Like, you don't even have to give us a new game. You don't have to bring us BioShock 4. We don't want that. We want BioShock 1 in VR. So fucking let's make that happen.
Yeah. At the end of the day, like I said before, I will take Horizon Forbidden West in VR over Horizon Call of the Mountain all day, every day. Hell, I would maybe even take a third person VR Horizon Forbidden West.
Hey, let's not get crazy, AJ. Come on now.
Maybe. I know that's not really using my thing, but
yeah.
But yeah, man, this is a great opportunity. Hopefully, you know, we were saying we hope that they learn from their Green Hell VR kind of blunder, and and use this to make a great launch for Bulletstorm. Maybe this is that, and hopefully that's what this is.
Macho with one more tip, saying someone clip this and get it to Nkubo. I don't know how to clip things because I don't know how to use YouTube. I'm gonna leave that up to you.
He really
guys.
doesn't.
I don't know. I
have to walk him through starting the stream every.
I also don't know how to self promote. Can't feed myself either, AJ.
Now you can. It's a nice new kitchen.
That's right. Dude, I'm all like fired up, like angry about things now. Like,
why? Because of green hell, or
just because of everything, man. Like if you or I were running a VR studio, if you and I were running a VR studio, like, I mean, things would be drastically different. We probably would have been out of business years ago. But the point is that we would have fucking tried to get some of these games into VR. It's true.
Yeah. The only thing that boils my blood is when it's like stuff that is clearly a bad business decision. It's like, yeah, I understand VR is smaller, and I'm not expecting every game to have like Beat Saber success or that success of a AAA game, but it's like still, it's like you still don't want to, like, I don't know, completely screw up your launch, and that's to me the way, any opportunity where it can to sell your product. It's like I just don't understand it from a business perspective. It's like, what are you doing? Like, why would you do this?
Right. All right, AJ, let's get on some more positive news here. Today, after a lot of speculation, a lot of rumors, we've been hearing people from Steelwool Studio even saying shit like this at demonstrations, at events. But we finally got confirmation today that Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2 VR is coming to PSVR2 next month, dude. It's like right around the corner. It's like December 14th. It's not even a month away. It's like 3 weeks away. I don't know how to do math. Is that right? 3 weeks? That sounds right. I don't know.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I'm super, super excited about this game, Brian. I knew nothing about Five Nights at Freddy's until the original Help Wanted came out. I knew absolutely nothing. And I said, this is probably just for kids, blah, blah, blah. I think that's what it is. But no, I actually am a huge fan after playing the VR game of the series, of the franchise, whatever. I even went and saw the movie, and I enjoyed it a lot. I think the first one was a very, very good game that was very polished, great gameplay, clever gameplay mechanics, and then of course I thought it was absolutely terrifying as well, and I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I was familiar with Five Nights through by name only. It was something that I'd heard a lot of people talk about. It was something that I'd like seen videos of and been like, oh, what the fuck is this about, And it always looked kind of cheap to me, right? Because it was like the original games were like very, very basic games, and they got more and more advanced over the years. And so, but yeah, getting into Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted was my first foray into it as well, and it was terrifying. It was terrifying in a whole different new way that I wasn't expecting. You're basically playing mini games for most of it, and it was just so interesting the way that they used certain mechanics and in certain things,
like survival mechanics.
Mechanics, sure, but like it's one of the few horror games I've played where your feet are actually glued to the floor. Not for all of them, but obviously for Five Nights 1 through 4, all that kind of stuff. But the fact that you couldn't move and like that you had to like keep these doors closed and open them at the right times and all this other shit to conserve power. I mean, it was just so stress inducing. It was almost like being at work, and the penalty for failing at your job was death. Those jump scares never got old for me. I loved them. So yeah, dude, we'd heard about this game a while ago. They debuted this, I believe, at a State of Play, and we were like, oh, that's cool. That's a thing. And the way they debuted it, AJ, was a little bit strange, I thought, because I think was it in a State of Play? Do I have that right?
Yeah, it was a State of Play, and it was the one where, it was the one where they showed like Resident Evil again and didn't announce that it was the full mode and just made everybody confused again. Yeah. And then like Synapse got a release date and confirmed David Hayter. It was that one. And this was announced before the VR stuff, and didn't even mention VR.
Yep. So it was all very confusing. So the fact that we're is this even a VR game? Like, is it what's going on here? It was very confusing. And then today, there was even more confusion with this announcement, because then it was, well, is this an exclusive? What's happening here? We did find out that it will be coming to, I believe, PSVR day and date, but as of right now, there's no plans or certainly no announcements of a Quest port. So this is it's a little bit interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a little bit interesting. So
that is interesting. They must have a timed exclusivity deal, because I think it did eventually. The first one eventually came to Quest, right? Or no?
Almost certain, yes. Actually,
I need to
totally
look this
certain.
up.
Totally certain, because I remember a lot of Quest users finding my review of the original
when it came out on the Quest. That's right.
Exactly. And more importantly, your guide.
The guide.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
I loved making that guide.
Yeah,
I really connected with this game, man. I connected a lot with the thing, and honestly, you can say it's for kids all you want, but honestly, the community of the FNAF community are some of the coolest, like most mature, laid back, welcoming group. I mean, after dealing with some of the people, even today, like I get a comment that says GT7 is overpriced garbage, blah blah blah. I'm just like, you don't know the people I deal with. Like you could call.
I know the people you deal with, because guess what? I also have a comment section, AJ.
Yeah. I'm like, you can think it's just children all you want, and you may assume that it's some like children, that it's a toxic fan base, but it's way better and way more mature than the freaking some of the man children I have to deal with on a daily basis.
Right.
That we have elsewhere. No, it's a really interesting thing, man, and I really like the IP. I think it's very charming. It's also, like I said, I think it's good content, and it's definitely a company that throws a lot of winks and nods and stuff to its fan base. It does a lot of stuff to please its fan base, which I think is always a good idea. And I don't know, it reminds me of kind of like a modern like as I was younger, I really liked like Nightmare Before Christmas, where it's like, yeah, this is like something that's maybe seems like it's like for kids or something, but it's also, there's like a more mature layer to it, where it's like, no, if you just appreciate art in many ways, shapes and forms, you can appreciate this no matter who you are.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will dismiss Five Nights at Freddy's being a kids game or being, just a bunch of mini games, but it's certainly an example of the sum being more than the parts.
Is
that the expression?
I was gonna make sure you finished.
A new game is bad forever, AJ, but a delayed game is forever a pancake. I don't even know what's happening anymore. Listen, we're both very excited for this. There's no question about that. But instead of speculating and trying to figure out like, hey, what's going to make this game different than the last game, other than it being on PSVR2, where the first game clearly is not yet, let's go over to the PlayStation blog and see what they have to say about it. Because today, an article got posted. Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2 seeks new employees December 14th. This is by Ray McCaffrey, executive producer over at Steel Wool Studios.
What up, Steel Wool? Miss you guys. Welcome back.
Yeah, you guys old friends. But...
Yeah, they were on our. They won the award for best. They won an award from us, Brian.
Did they accept the award?
They did accept the award, and they did a little thing of playing with toys and teased.
Oh my god, I completely forgot about that. That was
they were
amazing.
cool as fuck.
Yeah. Yes, dude, that's right. Dude, I completely forgot that. It feels like an eternity ago. But that was along with like the Tarsier acceptance speech was one of the best ones. Anyway, he writes, "Hi folks. Hey Ray. I'm Ray McCaffrey, executive producer of Steel Wool Studios, and I speak for our entire team when I say that we're thrilled to finally give y'all," he says y'all, by the way. So in case anybody needed that, you got it. "A sneak preview of what to expect in Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2. We will cover the overarching gameplay details, touching on what makes this game different from its predecessor and the unique PSVR2 features we're leveraging to plunge players into the world of FNAF in an entirely new way. In Help Wanted 2, there are 6 categories of minigames: backstage, Fazcade, staff only, food prep, ticket booth, and a special category containing new VR versions of Five Nights at Freddy's sister location gameplay. Ooh. Hey, let me ask you this, AJ. After we played Help Wanted and like we got kind of immersed into the world of Five Nights, did you bother going back and playing any like of the flat screen things or branching out and seeing what else is out there? Or were you just kind of patiently waiting for another VR iteration?
Yeah, no, I don't play much anything flat screen. And while I think I maybe looked up some stuff just to, I especially looked up like some of the background of the different game modes and games and characters that were used in Help Wanted, just so I, just to understand the lore and the, everything that's going on a little bit better. But no, I did not actually go back and play the original stuff. But I know what a lot of it is because, like I said, I did some research on it.
There's so much lore. If I even tried to, I would fail at telling anybody what the Five Nights lore is because it seems pretty simple on the surface, and then it goes real deep. There's some cool stuff in there. Ensuring that Help Wanted 2 would be fun on every single replay was our primary goal. We developed many of the games so that they'd be different each time you played, and we accomplished this by building an extraordinary amount of possibilities the player can... Oops, it's flying all over the place. Players can be presented with between taking customer orders, doing arts and crafts, or helping out the maintenance staff in plenty of other games. The player is faced with new requirements each time, keeping the challenge fresh and fun. That said, more than a few of the games have a spirit of the original Help Wanted and take players through the more curated experiences we love crafting. Go backstage as a VIP with Roxanne Wolf in the Pizzaplex Salon. She loves being up close and personal with all those who adore her almost as much as she loves terrorizing those who ruin her good looks. Being fashion forward, she has a menacing menagerie of makeup and accessories to choose from for a new style every time. She's not the most patient of the band though, so while you're glamming her up, you want to get it perfect every single time. Yeah,
this is like that the repair mode from Help Wanted, where you're having to basically interact, and it's kind of like Operation, where you can't touch the wrong thing or else it things. And somebody did mention that they stay away from this game because of jump scares. Yeah, this game has a lot of jump scares in it. I mean, if you don't like that, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, you'll like these jump scares. Nope. But it wasn't actually even the jump scares that really got me. It's the tension that while you're trying to execute a plan or solve a problem, the feeling of something stalking you or coming after you the entire time is like, that was enough for me. Even not knowing what was coming, I was like terrified. Like,
right. Well, that's the funny part about this mode is that, like you were saying, what's the mode called in Help Wanted 1?
It was like a repair mode or
repair
something.
Mode, yeah, where you so here are these animatronics that you're terrified of for the entire game, and you're closing the doors to make sure they can't come in and kill you. But then, like, as the repair technician, you have to literally face them, and touch them and replace parts and do whatever. And so here you're doing like makeup and shit like that. So it's in knowing that if you screw it up, you're gonna get your head chopped off, basically. So yeah, whatever, man. I love jump scares. And
I like jump scares too. They don't bother me. Whatever works. Like,
hold on.
I'd rather be jump scared than not scared at all.
I think the show's still going on, but everything is... Oh, there we go. We're back. Okay. Discord shut down for a second.
Okay.
All right. Touche. I'm going to have to come up with a new way to do this show. Anyway, let's... I have no idea what's going on. Let's get back to the article here, and so we can wrap this show.
Sounds good.
Head into the Fazcade and enjoy the classic games like Bonk-a-Bon and Phaser Blast. You'll need some precision and quick reflexes to get the high scores. If you're a crack shot with lightning-fast reflexes, you may even live long enough to see them. Staff our safety and security team to perform basic first aid for guests who aren't feeling quite like themselves. Whether it's a small patch-up or curing rabies, you've got to have it covered. Fazbear Entertainment doesn't have the necessary license to stock any sedatives, so be as delicate as possible when sawing off limbs, because a patient's screams will draw unwanted attention. This is some very interesting details about some of the new games that we'll be playing. And now I'm going to have to like look some of this shit up and see if this has all been done on the flat screen prior.
You can see some of this in the trailer that they dropped with it.
I can play the new trailer while I read. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Trailer. Here's
yeah,
the trailer.
they show off some of the stuff.
How much longer is this? Okay, it's not too much longer. Let's knock this out. Hop over the counter at El Chips and get the federally mandated amount of value preparing food in the Pizzaplex. While it's not hard to question what the nacho cheese is made of, it's even harder to keep up with the near endless combinations of possible orders during the dinner rush. Remember that the staff bots serving orders do not need to sleep, eat, or stop ever, so don't get distracted wondering why you're the only human employee left. I will say this makes me a little bit nervous because these are the kind of games that just make me cringe a little bit and put my stomach in a knot, because as a server for most of my life, as a waiter, it's like this is the kind of the stuff in food service like brings back bad memories, and I still have like fucking nightmares about being in the weeds at work. And so these are the kind of games that like don't really work for me because they just stress me the fuck out in ways that like video games should not. And I know that Wes and I have had this conversation on GAMESCAST before, so no surprises. But
I can only imagine, man. I worked in the food industry I worked at a Domino's for 3 hours and I quit. I never worked in the food industry again. Ever.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick little break here and give a shout out to Virtual Slayercat with the Canadian $100 tip. He's putting Macho to shame is what he's doing. He's saying, Macho, you ain't the only cat around here. Virtual Slayercat says, for going to battle for VR. Thank you.
For battle and for glory.
We do it all for the nookie. I don't think that's a thing.
Wow.
No. We appreciate your generosity, Virtual Slayercat. We appreciate everybody's generosity and everybody for being here. Thank you so much, guys. We do not take you for granted. AJ does, but I don't. I promise. Head over to the ticket booth, catch a ride on Captain Foxy's Cowboy Adventure on this lighthearted log ride. I'm excited for this already. I love log rides. You float through.
This is Robbie.
I can't. Can you give me a second to be happy about something?
The ride,
AJ,
the ride was the weakest thing in all of the things. The little ride where you shoot the little foam gun, that was like literally the weakest thing out of all the mini games.
I completely forgot about that. Yeah, so maybe I'm less excited about that now. Who knows? Maybe they learned some lessons and were like, we got to make this more fun.
The only cool thing about it was finding the secret paths and figuring out the secret paths. That was the only thing that was cool. Sorry.
Tornado, what are you doing, buddy? Come over here. On this lighthearted log ride, you'll float through an old west as a gunslinger in search of booty. In the event of a breakdown, please remain calm while the staff finds your location. You may have inadvertently drifted off course. If you're short on dread, dive into the world of Five Nights at Freddy's sister location. Between keeping Funtime Freddy busy while repairing electrical breakers or surviving a classic security office game until 6 a.m., this fan favorite brought to life is as fun as it is terrifying. It's an experience littered with custom VR gameplay. Okay, finally, here's the part that I was actually looking for. I probably could have skipped a good chunk of this, so I apologize. I knew this was coming, but this is why I'm reading all of this to get to this.
Yeah, this
part.
was an interesting part right here.
The unique features of the PSVR2 headset has enabled us to create a more engaging horror experience through controller haptics, 3D audio, and so much more. The rumble within the headset has been hooked up to our most terrifying moments, adding a level of physicality to jump scares not previously possible. Lastly, thanks to the PSVR2's eye tracking system, players will have their minds read by the fortune teller, Mystic Hippo. A minigame has been built exclusively for the PlayStation 5, where players can challenge her ancient powers of perception. Pick a card, any card, and she'll peer through you to guess what it is. If you're also attuned to what the supernatural, you can try to fool her, but I wouldn't hold your breath. We're just going to keep moving. She will also guide you through everything Help Wanted 2 has to offer.
That's an interesting one. So it's an exclusive one that uses eye tracking. Exclusive eye tracking minigame or something.
Yeah.
It says PS5, but it uses eye tracking. Maybe for the VR mode, it uses eye tracking. I don't know.
Do we know if this is playable outside of VR?
I don't know. I would think so.
I don't think the end of the trailer says PlayStation 5 and PSVR2, does it? Just say PSVR2?
Maybe it'll come later, like they did last time. Maybe they're using this to push some headsets, which I think it will.
It would be pretty interesting to see if, even when this goes to Steam, even this one gets the inevitable Quest port, if there's still this thing that remains PS5 exclusive. Do you think this is going to sell headsets? Is this something that like there's just people clamoring for?
I think this will definitely sell some headsets, absolutely, and without question.
Yeah. In the comment section, I did see somebody already today say, "This is what I bought my PSVR2 for." And I think it's really good marketing. I think it's a great time. It's fairly subtle on Sony's part, but the fact that the movie just came out and they're kind of riding high on that, like the popularity of Five Nights has probably never been higher. And then to have this game come out and say, "Oh yeah, it's you can't get it on Quest right now. You can get it on your PlayStation VR2." I wonder if this will sell a few headsets for Christmas. That'd be cool.
It most definitely will, and that's why Sony chose to do it this way. They actually got this one right, bagging this group, and it's going to be timed exclusive. Like it will probably become a flat game. It will go to Quest or whatever later, but there's a reason they're doing this right now. And yeah, the first game sold headsets and did really, really well. And I expect this one will do, if not the same, somewhere around the same.
Charlie Murphy in the chat. What up, Charlie Murphy? Says the trailer says PSVR required. So there you have it.
Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm super excited. Again, if you've been dismissing this, and if you love horror and you've been dismissing this as just like a collection of mini games, way more than some of its parts. I can't wait for this. It's gonna be great. And dude, Halloween is just gonna be coming all year long. And that's what we want from Halloween, is just to come all year long. Between this and Madison VR coming next year, dude, we go.
There's no shortage of horror games.
Phasmophobia will be out eventually. Who the fuck knows when that's going to happen, but it's going to be great when it does. Halloween is no longer just relegated to October, AJ. It's now an all-year event.
Damn, I'm with it.
Macho's back trying to put virtual Slayercat in his place with the $2 tip. Says Canadian dollars don't count. That's phenomenal.
Oh, I like this competition.
It's an interesting one. All right, man, you ready to play a little 20 questions before we get out of here?
Yes, sir.
All right,
let's do this.
Hey guys, spoilers for last Monday. AJ chose Run Dorothy Run, so you know what? It's time to get him back.
Oh no, means we're screwed. I blame Rypop. It was Rypop's idea.
Everything's Rypop's fault. You know why?
Yeah, that's true.
Because he's Canadian. It's a thing.
Don't listen to him, Canadian game cats. He didn't mean it.
Canadians are awesome. Rypop's it's all right. It's
Something.
okay. He's okay. He just does like literally everything for me. That's all. No big deal. All right, guys. You guys know how this game works. I've chosen a game, and now you guys out there and AJ over here has 20 yes or no questions and only 6 minutes to figure out what game I'm thinking of. It could be PSVR 1. It could be PSVR 2. It could be both. You just don't know. Putting 6 minutes on the clock right now. On your mark, get Dez. Go. Off to a good start.
Is this game on PSVR 2? Just going to go ahead and get that out of the way because it's not, right?
It's not. Nope.
Is this a puzzle game?
No.
Not a puzzle game. Did it come out within the first 2 years of PlayStation VR?
Nope.
Ugh.
Come on, man. I know that would be too easy for you.
Yeah, you probably picked one right in the middle. Did it come out in 2019?
Did it come out in 2019? The answer to that question is no.
Oh. Okay. This is going to be some random. Is this a bad game?
No. That's 5.
It's not a bad game.
No.
Is it DualShock only?
It is not DualShock only.
I like this. I like. So can probably uses the moves. Has this developer made other PSVR games?
Yes, they have.
Okay. Is this is it made by the Binary Mill?
No.
It's not made by. So they've made other PSVR games. Is it made by NDreams?
No.
Is it a wave shooter?
No. That's 10.
Yeah, he probably. Yeah. Does the game feature combat? Asked Vencer. What up, Vencer?
No. I mean,
no form of combat?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, if I say yes, it's going to throw you off.
Right. I know what you mean.
Right.
Let's see here. He says it's not a puzzle game. It says it's not a bad game.
Yeah. Again, so with puzzles, not going to say there's not puzzles in it, but it's definitely not what you think of at all when you think of this game.
Is it sci-fi?
I mean, there's certainly a sci-fi element to it. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's sci-fi.
Is it a long game?
No.
So it's kind of sci-fi, kind of puzzly. And the developer has made other games. I don't think it'd be Sprint Vector. Did it ever hit our top 20 or 25 list?
I'm going to say no.
But it could have.
I mean, I doubt it ever came up in conversation, but I'm sure it could have come up in conversation. But no, there's no way it ever landed on a top 25 list.
Is it a horror game?
Nope. That's 15.
Oof.
Oof, indeed.
It's not scary. Is there multiplayer?
No, not in the typical sense.
Not in the typical sense. Does that mean like leaderboards?
That would be an atypical type of multiplayer, yes.
Okay.
Racing Ghosts would be a atypical type of multiplayer. No real-time multiplayer, I guess what I should be saying.
A real-time multi.
Is that 16?
I
forget to hold my finger up.
My doggy wants something.
Hey, Rock. Who's your good boy, Rock? Who's your good
he's
boy?
doing better. He was sick the other day, and I was really worried, but he's feeling better now.
Okay, we love Rock, but you've only got a minute left.
Is it racing?
Nope.
It's 16. How many? Okay.
That's 17. You get 2 more questions and a guess.
2 more questions, I guess. We've gotten nowhere, cats.
You got nowhere.
I burned a lot of questions on. It's not racing. So there's no. Is it made by Enshark Studios?
No.
Is it made by Sin Studio?
Nope. You got to guess a game.
I have no freaking idea. I have not a clue.
Just throw something out. Anything.
I don't know if they made is it they didn't make Ninja Theory didn't make another. They only made one game, right?
Pick a game.
I'm gonna say Space Bear Taxi, whatever.
AJ, coming out the year of our Lord 2021, PSVR 1. This is Jupitergrad.
Oh,
dude, sci-fi, some puzzle solving, mostly, maneuvering.
Yeah.
Type of platform. There's time attack mode. There was a leaderboards for that.
Yeah.
These guys, Game Dust, they made Never Out, which shout out to Ace fucking Diaz in the chat, who actually suggested Never Out as the game that this could be. So I don't think I saw anybody actually say Jupitergrad though. So not too shabby.
Yeah. I had a feeling it was going to be, I don't know. My mind was definitely going to like, even though I guessed a bunch of studios that made popular games, my mind was definitely going to like, okay, this is like, some unknown, lesser known games.
Venture said that somebody got it right. Somebody got it right in the chat. Said Venture. So, but I was trying to keep track of like questions and stuff, so I didn't see everybody in the chat. Pietrek F says it was obvious.
It was pretty obvious.
Love it. All right, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out. This is another fun episode of GameScast Live. Thanks for being patient and hanging out and waiting for my kitchen guy to leave, even though he didn't. You get to hear Sean's voice. Hopefully my refrigerator still works. Thank you, AJ, for being here. Guys, make sure you click the link in the description below and go check out AJ's channel at PSVR Underground and subscribe while you're there. Lots of good stuff going on. If 3 episodes of Gamescast every week isn't enough, every Thursday he does one without me, which I'm assuming is better. I've never watched it. Who knows? There's not enough time in the world.
It's a fun time though. It is always.
While you're clicking links in the description, make sure you click on the link for our Discord and come join us over there. That's where I hang out 24/7 at least. And sometimes AJ and Miles and Wes join us over there. But that is where the biggest, best PSVR2 community on the face of the planet exists. And we love you guys for being there. Thank you to everybody who helps this channel run. Whether it be Rypop for uploading to some podcast services of your choice, Sci-Fi Gamecat Henry for doing the timestamps. By the way, when we thought that Henry wasn't going to do the timestamps on Friday because he was working a double shift, Waleed stepped the fuck up and did timestamps just because he's an amazing cat. So thank you guys so much. You're all fucking amazing. This just proves what an amazing community we have. Thanks to everybody who helps the channel out financially, whether being a member over here on YouTube or being or supporting us on patreon.com/withoutprogames or tipping here in the chat. It all helps keep the lights on, and I really, really appreciate all of you guys for that. Thanks to everybody who hangs out, helps during 20 questions, shoots the shit, keeps us entertained while we try to keep you entertained, and of course, everyone who sits back and watches the show doesn't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there, and we love you just as much. Fuck, it's AJ. I mean, it's Monday. AJ, it's Monday.
Kill the motherfucking cat, Brian, because I want to say happy Thanksgiving to you lovely people. Macho times 3, the real estate procrastinating game cat. Thank you so much, man. Awesome Tatum, my buddy, dude, my Crossfire dude, man. That's my Crossfire homie. Mark Smith, I love you more. No, I love you more. No, I love you more. Okay, Brian loves you more.
That
Courtney the
that's
Game
fucking
Cat
true. Yeah.
says, I call my friends kitchen guys too. Charlie Murphy. Nothing but love to you, my friend. Secrets of thank you. Move Master Mick. Esports commentator for hire. TTFN, everyone. Serial killer. The Keeping It Mo Game Stash says, Brian, did you ever receive any mysterious emails lately?
I get mysterious emails every single day. You're going to have to narrow that down a little bit.
He also sends mysterious emails constantly.
Yeah.
UGS TV, later, homie. Thank you so much for hanging out today, my
Only for
friend.
Russian
Gabriel,
girls,
004, the licensed meow game cat. Meow, meow. Meow, 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 meow. Mark, Poppin', Pringles, Leaf, says, great stream as always, Brian and AJ. Thank you so much, man. Great job in the chat as well, keeping us entertained. Grumpy Williams says, running refrigerator joke. That's a good one. That's a good one. See, it made Brian laugh.
That's good. That's good.
Nihilus Ryan, my metal feline friend, says, see y'all on West Day. Yes, don't forget West Day is coming up. Weston Miles doing a great job killing it over there, guys. Mad_vegan, good night to you. Scott, the PSVR Game Cat for life. Thank you so much. Raveyard Records, not Graveyard. Raveyard Records.
I like that. That's very cool.
For some reason, it took me like a second to get that.
Oh, I can understand that.
Thank you so much.
You're not
Jack
the smartest bulk in the box.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brian. I appreciate that. Trek,
I'm here for you.
Brax, bro. The Game Cat, formerly known as Andrew Ehrenreich.
What up, Andrew Ehrenreich? He's almost caught up on GamesCast. We're gonna have to really stretch out that episode on Saturday to like 17 hours or so to keep him from getting completely caught up.
Silver and Access, my dude. SB. I'm not yawning. You're yawning.
You're totally yawning.
SB.
You're making me yawn.
Casanova, the Game Cat lover, says, does it have witches? Rob Axel, all of yous, Beard of Power 666. It says Island Time. I love the random game throwouts. Just trying to get closer. It was a good one.
Well, Island Time should be next week's, except now that it's been suggested we can't use it.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, what's up, AJ?
It's time for my favorite part of the show.
Do you want to know what was going on 2 years ago on this day in Without Parole history?
Yes.
All right, man, let's check it out.
What
happened? My God. Is Ubisoft about to reveal their PSVR2 launch games? AJ, if there's one thing I can say about past Brian and past AJ, we were nothing if not optimistic.
This was definitely more you. I'm putting the blame much more on you.
Yeah, I have no idea what this was all about, but I do remember it just being like we were trying desperately to keep the show going when there was absolutely no news to talk about. And this is definitely,
why was there?
I don't know.
Well, we weren't desperately trying. We were just finding anything we could, and we're speculating.
Yeah,
because
that's exactly what we're doing.
That's all we had to go off of. Because other than that, we were given complete silence. Yet we knew PSVR2 was being developed, and was going to come out, but we got nothing. Sony never told us anything.
That was the real struggle. Is that there were certain things that we did know about, and that we knew PSVR2 was coming, and despite the fact that everyone told us it wasn't, and you guys should give it up, whatever, it's not going to happen. And we were like, no, it's coming. You got to trust us on that. And so every single time something came along, like the Game Awards or whatever, and we were just trying to figure out when PSVR2 was coming out, every time another big event came up, and then there was any kind of hint that something could happen, we were like, we jumped on it. It was like, well, could this be the time? And the answer was again and again and again, no. This was some really tough times to be a PSVR fan, and hoping that PSVR2 was going to be great. It was a really tough time for that too, because Sony was just being especially quiet, ridiculously quiet. And so
they still are.
It's
it's still difficult, Brian.
Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. But whatever. At least we've got our headset, and the games are great, and we've had an amazing first 9 months. So it's hard to complain where we are now. But I will tell you, AJ, if December rolls around and there's a state of play or a showcase, as there's been heavily rumored, and there's no PSVR2 games or no PSVR2 announcements, I am going to lose my fucking shit. I'm gonna lose it. But
Yeah.
anyway. All right, man. Another Monday in the books. Thank you everybody for that hung out and shot the shit with us. And to honor Macho, who asked me in the chat, asked me to end the show in classic format, saying, "My name's Brian Paul, and I love you all." Good night, everybody. No good night, AJ?
Nat.
There we go. Y'all.
Not y'all.